In Washington, 1907, a cow is used to carry 7 children to school. This creative solution happened before school buses were common, showing how rural families manage their daily routines. After a storm in Louisville, Kentucky, 1937, a horse was found stuck high up in a tree. It likely ended up there due to rising floodwaters during the Ohio River flood. 3 people and a dog pose inside the hollow trunk of a massive cedar tree in the Pacific Northwest around 1900. These giant trees were often used for shelter or temporary homes. During Prohibition in the 1920s, New York State troopers jokingly give a monkey a drink after seizing illegal alcohol. It was a lighthearted moment during a time of strict laws. In 1884, loaves of bread are delivered by horseback to miners near Murray, Idaho. This was during the gold rush, when thousands of prospectors needed supplies in remote areas. This photo from 1890 shows an enslaved child in Zanzibar carrying a heavy wooden yoke as punishment. It is a difficult image that reveals the harsh reality of the region's history. A hermit known as Old Man River sits with his dog outside his shack in California, around 1900. He lived a solitary life right by the Los Angeles River. An Arapaho family poses for an exhibit at the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. These human zoo displays were unfortunately common at the time to show different cultures to Western audiences. This photo from the 1910s shows Dagestani Jews from Derbent posing in Jerusalem. They wear traditional clothing that reflects their unique heritage within the Ottoman Empire. Arabs and Jews worked together picking oranges in Jaffa, around 1910. Before major conflicts arose, these communities often shared daily work and economic life in the region. The Palestinian Bisharat family poses outside their home in the 1920s. This house later became a residence for Golda Meir, highlighting the complex history of property in the area. A young girl named Addie Card stands next to spinning machinery at a cotton mill in Vermont, 1910. Child labor was legal then, and many children worked long hours in dangerous factories. Explorer Ernest Shackleton and Tom Crean pose in South Georgia in 1916. They look exhausted after their dangerous Antarctic expedition, where they had to survive extreme cold and rough seas. A soldier watches a shell explode near his trench on the Western Front during World War I, around 1917. It captures the constant danger soldiers faced every day. Canadian soldiers fire a machine gun from a ruined building near Lens, France in 1917. They used the rubble for protection while holding their position against the enemy. British soldiers rest after the Battle of Saint-Quentin Canal in northern France, 1918. After a hard victory, they finally take a moment to relax and recover. King Alexander of Yugoslavia attends the opening of a World War I memorial in Belgrade, 1929. He was honoring those who were lost during the Great War. A father and his 3 daughters pose outside their log cabin in Brown County, Indiana, 1929. The photo is titled "A Motherless Home," suggesting the family was managing life on their own. Maria Yale mourns at the funeral of her husband, Frankie Yale, in Brooklyn, 1928. He was a famous gangster who met a violent end during a mob conflict. Inside the home of a family with low income near Cincinnati, Ohio in 1935. This image from the Great Depression shows the simple conditions many Americans lived in during the economic crisis. A family walks along a U.S. highway around 1935, pulling their belongings on a small cart. Many people lost their homes during the Depression and had to travel on foot. A migrant family travels in an overloaded car in the U.S. around 1935. They even have a soap advertisement on the side, perhaps to earn a little money while on the road. A man rests in a bed with a makeshift roof at a camp in Oklahoma City, 1939. Homeless camps like this were common as people struggled to find shelter. Men dry their clothing on a rooftop after a massive hurricane hit Boston in 1938. The storm caused widespread destruction, forcing people to recover however they could. A farm family enjoys a 4th of July fish fry along the Cane River in Louisiana, 1940. It's a peaceful moment of celebration before the country entered the Second World War. This difficult image shows 38 Polish workers being executed after defending a post office in Danzig, 1939. They held out against German forces but eventually faced a tragic end.
Just a quick reminder, if you appreciate this journey through history, consider subscribing to support more videos like this.
Employees at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow clean up broken glass after a German air raid in 1941. The bombing caused damage across the city as the war intensified. Greek soldiers chat with a local civilian on the island of Crete, May 1941. This was just before the German invasion, a calm moment before the fighting began. British soldiers, including Lance Corporal Harris, shave and stand guard in a trench in France, 1940. Even near the front lines, they tried to maintain their daily routines. Soldiers from the King's African Rifles collect a huge pile of weapons surrendered by Italian forces in Ethiopia, 1941. This was a significant victory in the East African Campaign. Charles de Gaulle inspects French Boy Scouts in Wales, 1942. These young men hoped to join the Free French forces to help liberate their country from occupation. Princess Elizabeth, who would later become Queen, works as a mechanic in England, 1945. She joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service to help with the war effort. Smokey, a Yorkshire Terrier and famous war dog, poses in a helmet in the South Pacific, 1944. She accompanied soldiers on missions and boosted morale. Wojtek the bear poses with Polish soldiers in Italy, 1944. He was officially enlisted as a corporal and helped carry heavy ammunition crates during battles. Japanese photojournalist Tsunyai Sasimoto stands with a Hungarian officer in Russia, 1942. It's a rare look at how Axis nations interacted on the Eastern Front. A Soviet soldier wears steel body armor showing multiple bullet dents, 1943. This gear likely saved his life during the fierce fighting on the Eastern Front. Soldiers of the 13th Mountain Division pray during training in 1943. This unit was unique because it was made up of Muslim recruits from Bosnia, fighting for the German side. U.S. Army medics treat a wounded soldier against a brick wall in a ruined European city, 1944. It shows the immediate danger medics face to save lives in the field. A French woman faces public humiliation in a village near Marseille after being accused of collaborating with German soldiers during the occupation. Her head is shaved as neighbors gather around her. A woman sits calmly in the rubble of bombed buildings in London, 1940, drinking tea. Her composure became a symbol of British spirit during the Blitz. A young boy sits in the ruins of a London street holding a stuffed toy, 1940. It's a sad reminder of how the bombing raids affected the city's children. A severely burned U.S. Navy sailor is fed by a shipmate on the hospital ship USS Solace, 1945. He was recovering from injuries sustained in the Pacific Theater. A U.S. soldier stands before a German grave in Tunisia, May 1943. It's a quiet moment of respect for a fallen enemy after the fighting in North Africa ended. An Indian soldier watches prisoners fill water cans in the desert, 1941. Water was a critical resource for both sides during the hot campaigns in North Africa. A German soldier surrenders to advancing U.S. troops in Germany, February 1945. By this time, many soldiers knew the war was ending and chose to give up. A British soldier searches Japanese prisoners in Burma, July 1945. The fighting in the jungle was intense, continuing even as the war in Europe had finished. An American soldier examines his shoe while sitting on a massive unexploded battleship shell on Saipan, 1944. It shows the scale of the weapons used. U.S. Marines hold a respectful funeral for a Japanese general on Saipan, 1944. Despite being enemies, they honored his rank after the battle ended. A U.S. soldier stands before a German grave in Tunisia, May 1943. It's a quiet moment of respect for a fallen enemy after the fighting in North Africa ended. Captured Soviet soldiers beg for food in a German camp, 1941. Conditions for prisoners on the Eastern Front were extremely harsh, with little food or shelter. This heartbreaking photo shows a German soldier aiming at a woman and child in Ukraine, 1942. It is a stark document of the atrocities committed against civilians. Jewish men are gathered in a garage in Lithuania, 1941, just before a tragic event. They were accused of crimes and targeted by local paramilitaries and soldiers. This disturbing image shows German soldiers smiling near Soviet partisans they had just 1941. It reveals the brutal nature of the war on the Eastern Front. Ethnic German civilians are rounded up in a cinema in Czechoslovakia, May 1945. After the war, many Germans faced retribution and expulsion from the region. A Soviet soldier holds a Hungarian soldier point in 1942. He found looted property in the man's luggage, leading to this tense confrontation. Jewish people are marched through the Lodz ghetto in Poland, 1942. They were being moved during a deportation, forced to leave their homes behind. Jewish children march in a column through the Lodz ghetto, 1942. They were being sent to an assembly point, a tragic moment for the community's youngest members. Jewish women selected for forced labor stand together at Auschwitz-Birkenau, 1944. Among them is 18-year-old Eva Fahidi, who survived and lived to be 95. German workers handle canisters of Zyklon B gas, around 1943. These canisters contained the poison used in the camps, a chilling symbol of the Holocaust. Jewish men are gathered in a garage in Lithuania, 1941, just before a tragic event. They were accused of crimes and targeted by local paramilitaries and soldiers. Jewish American soldiers hold a religious service in a former Nazi meeting hall in Germany, 1945. It was a powerful moment of reclaiming the space after the regime fell. Soviet soldiers arrive at a railway station in Moscow, July 1945. A sign says "We are from Berlin" as they return home victorious after the long war. A Soviet soldier poses for a portrait in Germany, 1946. He wears the medal for the capture of Berlin, proud of his role in ending the conflict. The mushroom cloud from the atomic bomb. Little boy rises over Hiroshima, Japan, on August 6, 1945. This explosion marked a turning point in history and warfare. Survivors wait for emergency treatment in Hiroshima, 1945. They were injured by the first atomic bomb used in war, facing burns and shock. A young survivor, known as a hibakusha, shows radiation scars in Japan, 1945. The long-term effects of the bomb were visible on the bodies of civilians. Japanese soldier Hiru Onoda hands over his sword in the Philippines. He stayed in the jungle fighting for 29 years, not believing the war had ended. Dutch women look out at their flooded homes in 1945. German forces breached the dikes to slow the Allies, causing massive flooding in the Netherlands. Two farmers tend to a lamb outside a barn in the UK, around 1950. After the war years, life slowly returned to normal agricultural rhythms. A bride and groom walk through a small town in Sicily, Italy, 1955. Traditional weddings like this signaled a return to joy and community life after the war. Miners are X-rayed after their shift at a diamond mine in South Africa, 1954. This intrusive search was done to prevent workers from stealing any gems. An African-American man drinks from a colored water cooler in the U.S., 1943. This image highlights the racial segregation laws that existed in the Jim Crow South. Civil rights marchers gather in Washington, D.C., 1963. This massive protest demanded jobs and freedom, becoming a key moment in the fight for equality. White women protest against school busing at a New York school, 1965. They stood outside as African-American children arrived, showing the resistance to integration. U.S. Marines question an elderly man holding a baby in a Vietnamese village, 1967. It shows the difficulty of identifying enemy fighters among the local civilians. A condemned prisoner is baptized in a river in West Virginia, 1950. He requested this spiritual ceremony before facing his sentence for A young girl refuses to shake hands with the Brazilian president in 1979. It was a bold public statement during the country's military dictatorship. Christian Klar, a leader of the Red Army faction, is arrested by police in Germany. 1982. His group was involved in a series of attacks during that era. A Palestinian girl walks past an Israeli soldier in a camp. 1988. This was during the First Intifada, a period of intense uprising and conflict. Armenian children and women suffer from severe hunger in Aleppo. 1917. This tragedy occurred during the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. A 19th century portrait shows two girls with a deceased youth. Post-mortem photography was a common way to remember loved ones who passed away early.
If you haven't subscribed yet, you might never see this channel again. So make sure you're subscribed and get more videos like this.